The single most impactful or significant law ever passed regarding education in the United States is the Patsy T. Mink Equal Opportunity in Education Act. Have you ever heard of it? Yes, you have. In everyday conversation, it is called Title IX. The bottom line explanation of this legislation is, and I shall quote from the law, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Many of you have heard about this legislation in relation to college athletics, and it does impact that sphere dramatically. However, it is only a portion of Title IX's influence on education. Hi, I'm Margaret Meek, and this is The Significance of Title IX. Initially passed in 1972, this law has been adjusted, altered, and reworked several times since its implementation. The one thing that has always stayed the same is the intent of the law to keep educational institutions treating the opportunities, safety, and offerings for women commensurate with those offered to men and vice versa. As the years have passed and the contents of Title IX have shifted, the current impact of these policies is that all schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, and their districts, as well as colleges, community colleges, trade and vocational, schools that receive any form of federal funding, must comply with all provisions. Further, if a school receives funding in one area, say research funding for a grant that studies the sex lives of gnats, the components of Title IX must be enforced in all aspects of that school. It is also important to note that just because Title IX is most often referred to as being related to athletics, that is not the only area affected. Title IX is also used to avoid and deal with discrimination such as sexual harassment or violence, provide equal access in all types of academic programming, employment issues, counseling, financial aid and admissions decisions, and the discipline apparatus used by the school. All reports of Title IX related cases within the school must be investigated and evaluated quickly and completely. The school is held responsible for changing the environment to prevent the same situation from negatively impacting another individual. Athletic compliance does not mean that the same amount of money is spent on male and female sports, or that the same number of students have access to positions on teams. The Javits Amendment recognizes that some sports require larger teams and that there are various equipment needs. Title IX does mean the one unavoidable measurement is in the proportion of scholarship funds provided for male sports and female sports. So if 45% of athletes are women, 45% of scholarship monies need to be paid to women. There must be similar quality levels of equipment and facilities as well as treatment of athletes. Athletic departments must report on the number of athletes participating in each sport by sex. You can check on any college that interests you by going to the link below this video to find all the resources used to inform this video. Beyond compliance in athletics, we are hearing more about how disciplinary investigations and decisions are being handled to meet Title IX. Any level of sex-based harassment and violence is to be dealt with in compliance with the notion that the school environment must be accessible and safe for all students. Any complaint to the school about a student's behavior must be thoroughly investigated and decided upon, and a report must be generated. All educational organizations are expected to review their policies, procedures, and operating principles in a way that identifies limiting decisions and makes all programs as accessible as possible. The same is true for hiring and employment practices, as well as access to services, housing, and medical services. Further, those who file complaints are protected by Title IX provisions from any form of retribution. The impact of Title IX has been felt since the 1970s. Title IX has been cited as a significant contributor to the increase in women accessing and moving forward with their education. In fact, in the early 70s, females made up about 42% of college students. Now that percentage is up to 58%. Those percentages have flipped, with males now making up about 43% of the aggregate student population. Women excel at what colleges ask students to complete, and educational institutions see more value in allowing women to compete in all available programs and positions. It should be noted, Title IX is not designed to take opportunities from men. It is specifically designed to encourage schools to level up their opportunities for women. However, the schools are not always good at making that work, especially in the athletic realm. There will always be work to do to ensure that all students can receive an education and demonstrate their skills in a fair and supportive manner, no matter who they are. There is one adjustment to Title IX that was proposed in April of 2023 that would allow students to athletically compete in the category of the gender by which they identify, not necessarily the sex they were identified with at birth. The comment period on this change has been open and closed. The decision on the concept, wording, and implementation of this type of rule adjustment is expected to be made in March 2024. Title IX has had a vast impact on all levels of education. It sets expectations and affords administrators and those who feel as if they have been violated with a measuring stick. Title IX. There is still room for growth, and the provisions of Title IX may never be fully complete. Through adaptation, new ideas and approaches, and anticipating the need for change, educational institutions can stay on the legal side of Title IX. Title IX encourages all education institutions to work toward providing a strong education in a positive environment to each student and staff member. Please like, subscribe, and share if you found this video helpful.